The auction hall stank of sweat, grease, and despair. Hundreds of beings crowded into the gladiatorial arena, where the galaxy's so-called entertainment was bought, sold, and paraded like livestock. Humans were rare here, an exotic novelty in a galaxy where Earth's colonies were still struggling for recognition. But Elias Kane, ex-soldier turned drifter, had wandered into the wrong part of the city on Thrylo's station. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. Next up. Rather unique specimen. She is broken, damaged beyond repair, but perhaps some of you sick-minded souls can still find use for her. An amusement, a plaything, or maybe a target to vent your anger on. 2 guards dragged her forward. Elias stiffened. She wasn't human. Her body bore the unmistakable elegance of the scythery, one of the most beautiful and respected species in the galaxy. But this woman was no longer regal. Her silver hair was matted with dirt, her scaled arms shackled in chains, and her glowing turquoise eyes dulled to a lifeless glaze. Scars striped her body, fresh and old alike, each a story of cruelty. She barely raised her head when the crowd jeered. Pathetic. She won't even last a week. Give her to the pits, let her die screaming. The announcer smirked. Very well, who will take her? A low price for your pleasure. Elias felt his fists clench. He had seen war. He had seen comrades fall. But the look in her eyes, quiet surrender, as if she no longer believed in the right to live, struck something deeper than any battlefield wound. Sold to the human, the announcer laughed, after Elias raised his hand with a credit chit. Let's see what this earthling does with a piece of trash like her. The crowd laughed, roaring with anticipation. To them this was sport. They expected him to break her further. But Elias Kane had other plans. Middle. They shoved her into his quarters, still shackled, trembling with the instinct of a beaten animal. She didn't speak, only flinched when he moved too suddenly. I'm not going to hurt you, Elias said softly, crouching to her level. My name's Elias. You're safe here. No response. She sat curled in the corner, breathing shallowly. He noticed the jagged cuts around her wrists where chains had eaten through skin. He fetched a medkit, human field gear, nothing fancy, and approached slowly. May I? He asked, holding up the ointment. Her turquoise eyes flicked to his face. Suspicion warred with hopelessness. But eventually she gave the slightest nod. As he worked, he learned just how much pain she had endured. Broken bones poorly healed. Malnourishment. Bruises layered upon bruises. Whoever she once was, the galaxy had decided she was no longer worthy of dignity. Why did you buy me? She finally whispered one night. Her voice cracked and alien but still melodic. Elias looked up from the ration stew he was preparing. Because no one deserves to be treated like that. Not you, not anyone. You should use me, she said flatly. That's what they want. That's all I'm for now. The words tore at him. No, that's what they made you believe. But it isn't true. Silence stretched. Then she whispered, My name is Lyra. From that night she began to speak more. Bits of her past emerged. She had been a diplomat's daughter, captured during a raid by slavers. She had resisted at first. But resistance had earned her cruelty beyond comprehension until her will broke. You're stronger than you think, Elias told her one evening, after she startled awake from a nightmare. No, she whispered, shaking. I was strong once. They took it all from me. I am nothing now. Elias didn't argue. Instead, he sat beside her, letting her lean against him as she cried. Sometimes healing wasn't about words. But word of what he was doing spread. The station's underworld laughed at the human fool who wasted time feeding and healing a broken toy. For them, her suffering was entertainment. When Elias refused to sell her back or put her in the pits, he made enemies, dangerous ones. One evening, he returned to his quarters to find the door forced open, everything in disarray, and Lyra gone. A blood smear on the floor made his chest tighten. They had taken her back to the pits. The arena burned with torchlight when Elias arrived. The crowd chanted, eager for blood. In the center, Lyra stood, trembling, unarmed. Across from her towered a beast, part machine, part predator, bred solely for slaughter. The announcer's voice sneered. Our human friend thought he could turn a broken toy into something more. Let's prove him wrong, shall we? Elias didn't hesitate. He vaulted over the barrier, landing hard on the arena sand. The crowd roared in disbelief. He placed himself between Lyra and the beast. If you want her, Elias growled, you'll have to go through me. The beast lunged. Elias fought like the soldier he once was. He dodged, struck, rolled with desperate precision. His blade, taken from a fallen guard, flashed in the torchlight. But the beast was relentless, its claws raking his side, its weight nearly crushing him. Lyra screamed his name, her first time saying it. Something inside her cracked open. The chains in her mind, the walls of despair, they shattered as she saw him bleed for her. Not because he owned her, not because she was a prize, but because he believed she was worth saving. Her turquoise eyes blazed, brighter than he'd ever seen. Power stirred within her veins, the dormant gifts of her species, long suppressed by trauma and cruelty. With a cry, she unleashed it. Energy erupted from her hands, striking the beast with a shockwave that sent it crashing into the wall. The arena fell silent. Lyra trembled, staring at her glowing hands. Elias staggered to his feet, smiling despite the blood on his lips. There she is, he whispered. That's the real you. Ending. The crowd erupted, not with laughter this time but with fear. The announcer shouted for guards, but Lyra's power surged again. Shackles snapped from her wrists. For the first time in years she stood tall. Elias grabbed her hand. We're leaving. Together they fought their way out. She shielded him with bursts of energy. He cut down attackers with soldiers' precision. By the time they reached the docking bay, alarms howled across the station. They boarded Elias's rusted freighter, barely lifting off before fighters pursued. Lyra closed her eyes, focusing, and a shimmering field enveloped the ship. Blaster fire bent away, harmless. She collapsed afterward, exhausted, but smiling. You risked everything, she murmured weakly, as Elias guided them into hyperspace. Worth it, he said. You're not broken, Lyra. You never were. They just wanted you to believe that. Her eyes softened, glowing faintly. And you healed me. Not with medicine. With faith. Elias reached over, taking her hand gently. Then let's keep healing. Together. For the first time in years, Lyra allowed herself to believe in tomorrow. Not as a slave, not as entertainment, but as someone who had survived. Someone who had been given back her strength. And beside her was a human who refused to treat her as anything less than whole. The galaxy had given him a broken alien woman for sport. But instead, Elias Kane gave her back her life. And together they would change everything.